This is not just another season. It's the most competitive year yet for the 52 Super Series history. 13 teams, 9 nations, the world's best sailors, and the fiercest rivalries. Every second count, every move matters, every mistake is punished. Power, precision, perfection, all pushed to the limit. This is the absolute pinnacle of Grand Prix monohull racing. The 52 Super Series is back, bigger, bolder and better than ever. April the 29th, Saint-Tropez, let the battle begin. Second day in Saint-Tropez, another beautiful morning, lots of tourists around, sunshine, light winds so far. The good news is the forecast is we should get some racing after a very disappointing opening day yesterday. I'm sitting on board the World Championship winning Gladiator. They've got some changes on board. It's going to be interesting to see how they go. But the good news is, forecast is for wind today, as Maria Torrijo, our principal race officer, tells us. So Maria, big question is how is it looking today? Are we going racing?
Yes, we will race today. It looks very good. We will have the sea breeze that maybe 2 or 3 p.m. we will be able to race, and we are planning to do 2 races.
And how are the conditions looking for the week?
Tomorrow is light again, but then for the weekend will be great sailing.
What do you mean by great? What kind of wind strength are we talking about?
Yeah, it's a big range, but from 8 to 15 or something like that.
What are the particular challenges for you coming here?
Actually, I really love to come here. The local people, they are very helpful, and I'm happy to be in Saint-Tropez.
And how's the season looking from your perspective in terms of the challenges for the different venues?
I don't know. I didn't think about that at all. Not yet.
Well,
race by race, step by step.
Good stuff, Maria. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's say we're on board the World Championship winning TP52 Gladiator. We caught up with Guiche Parada from Gladiator, and he gave us some nice insights about the season ahead. So Guiche, 2 years ago you started out, and look where you are now, world champions. How does it feel, and how does this season look?
I think it's very good. We came a long way with the team, and now we are starting a new season, a new challenge, different positions on board, so I'm looking forward to it.
What's the processes involved there, and how do you settle the team in the back of the boat in particular?
It's not myself. I think that as a team we gel together, we evolve, we keep getting better and better, and the results started to come our way. So it was very gratifying, at least to check that whatever we believed in, it works. So now we are starting a new process with different positions on board, with some new teams also joining the circuit. Some of the boats made modifications, so very much looking forward to see how things are evolving. But so far we are going quick, and we need to make sure that we stay out of trouble and we survive the first couple of days or races at least in order to judge our real chances towards the end of the regatta.
A little explanation why Tony's back driving and you're tactician, Ray Davis, strategist.
Well, at the beginning we thought about getting Ray as a strategist, and we didn't know that Tony was going to be driving. So by the time he decided he wanted to give it a go with the helm, we also decided that I was going to swap roles with Tony in order not to change the structure that much. So I think Ray is a great value for the team. Obviously he's bringing a ton of experience, not only in the 52 but in the whole thing. He knows everyone in the circuit. Obviously he knows the class and the boat very well, so he's a very big help for me, and obviously Tony has done a lot of steering in the class, and he knows what he's facing. He knows what kind of challenge he's ahead of, so hopefully we make a good job. But the bottom line was Tony's decision that he wanted to go back to the steering role.
Now tell me about the season then. How do you see the season? What's the aims and objectives here in particular?
Well, here, as I told you, is trying to to get clean races especially at the beginning, and judge our real chances and try to set up a real goal. We are still not certain if we are going to be doing the whole season or not, so that will affect the way we approach every regatta, because if you're not playing for the overall, you may take some more risks for trying to win every specific regatta. If you are going for the overall season, you need to always keep in the back of your mind that one bad day can ruin 6 months of racing. So we need to let the first couple days roll and have a feel of where we are, and then slowly start to setting up objectives, not only for the rest of this regatta, but also for the season.
Any changes at the top of the fleet that you're predicting, or do you think it's the same key contenders?
I think that contenders are going to be the same, with Platoon, Quantum, Provezza, hopefully us, and then obviously Sled got Keiko Bruni back, so they are strengthening the back of the team, and the new teams are performing well and they are going quick, so everyone can win a race here and there, but I think that overall contenders are going to remain the same because of the long season. 50 races and consistency is very, very important, and that only comes with experience and time and having sailed together for a long period, and having experience in the class and knowing how to manage this risk reward situation. So I think that at the end of the season, the overall contenders are going to be the same ones.
Talk to us a little bit about the end of last season. You guys ended up unfortunately disappointed, but what did you debrief, and how long did it take you to get over it?
Well, it was hard to swallow because we worked it very hard and very slowly making progress into the top of the fleet, and we developed a style that unluckily didn't play in our favor in the last event, because we were pretty much picking up a side of the course and banging the start and being very aggressive to fight for that end and then go in the direction we wanted, and most of the time it worked out very well. But in Valencia we had 1 week of offshore breeze that it was very shifty and changing all the time, so the conditions were changing every 2 minutes, 1 minute, so you need to be adapting your plan, and we were not ready for that as good as the other teams, and we didn't have the result we had. But at the same time, if you look at a couple more seasons behind, I think it was a great season, and we need to be proud of what we did. That's why we added Ray to the back of the boat, trying to help us in those changing and challenging situations. From there until today, Tony also decided he wants to steer, so that's another change that we made, and we'll see how it works out this season.
What are you looking forward to most this season? Any particular venues, anything ahead that you're really excited about?
Well, I think it's very nice to go back to Cascais. It's a place that I really like. I hope that we can make it. And then Porto Cervo, it's a long time that we don't go there. I think the last time was in my 52nd birthday. So I don't know how many years I'm becoming this year, but I think it was more than 2 or 3. So Porto Cervo is always a place that we like to go back, and we'll be there also for the Maxi Worlds before the 52 events. So those are 2 events that I'm pretty much looking forward to go. And Bayonne is a place that I don't know, so I will also love to go there. But we need to wait and see.
Good. Have a great regatta. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
So there we go, Guillermo Parada, who was, of course, helmsman on board Gladiator last season, world champions, 2 years on since he joined the team in Saint-Tropez in 2023, and what a lot of success they've had progressively. Last year really was their year, coming into the last regatta of the season with an 18 points lead, and then ending up missing out with the championship title. So good insights from Guige. But we're going on the water now with Katie Dabson. It's looking a little bit more promising, Katie. Well, here's hoping. It certainly yesterday was very disappointing, ending up spending many hours on the water waiting to go. Now then, one new face, as it were, in some respects, back with us after a 2-year hiatus is Terry Hutchison, the driving force for so many years on board Quantum Racing, now American Magic Quantum Racing. Terry is back from his spell with American Magic and America's Cup, and he is on board. And we caught up with Terry on the dock yesterday after racing, and he gives us some great ideas of how things are looking for the team, how he expects the team to gel. Obviously, some changes on board with Sarah Stone moving back in the boat to the new role for her as a navigator. Victor Diaz de Leon moving to the role of strategist. Harry Melges floating while Doug DeVos is on board as owner-driver, of course. So this is Terry, who we spoke to yesterday. So Terry, disappointing way to start the season, going out there for so long, but
yeah, no, I mean that's Mother Nature. You know, we kind of knew this morning that it was going to be, the day was going to be like this. I think we give Maria credit for taking us out and getting us into the spot that if the breeze was a little bit different, it wouldn't have taken much. Yesterday's forecast was very similar to today, and yesterday's forecast proved to have some pretty good breeze. So, yeah, I mean, she did the right thing.
Meantime, you're excited to be back.
It's very exciting to be back. I think you step out of this circuit for a year or two and you watch it on YouTube TV and you follow it, and but we're also immersed in another regatta, and so having the opportunity to come back and sail with a new team and with new sailors, and really following along the evolution of some of our American Magic teammates. We're really fortunate to have Harry back on the helm, Lucas Calabresi's trimming the main, Luke Muller, Sarah's navigating, Ian Liberty. We've got this great younger group of sailors with us, and that side of it's really good. I think when you look at the evolution of where we've come from and where we have to get to, our generation of sailor has a responsibility to kind of bring these sailors along, much in the way they have that happened for us. But the thing that you quickly realize, I look at Sarah, who's navigating for us, and she and I have had the opportunity over the last month really to do a couple regattas in the States, and it's awesome to see A, how smart she is, and B, how quickly she's taken on to becoming a racing navigator. She's navigated before, but it was more just in ocean racing and stuff, but it's really good, and it's really encouraging, because not only does she pick it up really quickly, she, to date, as our relationship evolves and a tactician and a navigator, you can see both of us getting better and both of us getting more comfortable with each other and how we're talking to each other. And then insert Victor into that and Harry into that here when Doug's driving, and I'm impressed really with how good they all are. I know where I was when I was Harry's age and when I was Victor's age, and they're well beyond that learning curve. So for me, it's awesome. And
this circuit remains a fantastic platform for that process.
Yeah, well, the circuit's a fantastic platform because it's the top end of the sport. There's some great foiling racing going on in Sail GP, and the America's Cup is a little bit slow right now, and we'll see where that leads. But so there's that side of the sports that's being covered really well. And to have the monohull racing that we have going on here in boats that are close enough in design, but you still maintain the design element, you still maintain a personal touch of the designer and the team on the boat. There's a lot to learn there. And even as we sit here and we're docked next to Platoon, which is 3 years newer than we are in design, you can see the subtle little changes, and yet in their boat in particular, those subtle changes are going to be great performance gains on the race course. So I think from a team perspective, the Super Series provides an entire all-encompassing design package that allows sailmakers, rig builders, sailors, designers all to evolve and develop inside of our sport, which is awesome. It's what we need.
Where do you feel you are in terms of the process?
Where are we? I'm respectful of the fact that the team won the season last year, and they did a really, really good job. So I think early on our challenges are to work together, really in an afterguard unit to help that side of it. And the speed team side with Lucas stepping into works, roll trim in the mainsail, he has a big learning curve there in front of him as well. But he's complemented with Sean Clarkson, who has done this for a long time and is very, very good. And I'm optimistic. I think when we look at this regatta, it's a lighter, and it has the feeling it's going to be a lighter air venue. And so our learning curve is very vertical. For a team that has experience, we still have so much to gain in front of us by just our time together, by the evolution of our teammates, the subtle ways that, Sarah and I communicate and Victor and I communicate and how we can continue to improve. That'll probably be really our measure for the season.
A little bit about your relationship with Victor and his talent, obviously having been skipper, and the pressure's off him a little bit.
Come on. No. There's we both have the pressure of the bow number. So that's a earned pressure for those guys. I think when you operate inside of any really good team, and what we see here is somebody like Lucas Calabresi, who's trimming the mainsail. But this time last year, he was preparing to sail an AC-75 to be a helmsman in the America's Cup. And so when you have a teammate that slides around the boat in that capacity, I think that exemplifies what our team needs to be about. And I can assure you, Victor and Harry, when Harry's not driving, but Victor in particular, will have a massive influence over our decision making. He already has. When we've raced yesterday and the days before, we have a lot of growth to happen in those communications and learning how to trust each other. But I raced against him a couple times this winter, and he's 2-0, and so I'm happy to be on the same team with him.
What's it like for you being back on the boat? This is really what you love. This is your first love.
Well, you love all of it, but each regatta presents a different challenge, and the America's Cup is a much different challenge than the Super Series, and yet they both are rewarding when you're successful, and you feel the sting of defeat when you're not. And here, we're so fortunate to have Doug here at this regatta and to have him sailing some of the events this season, because he brings a great energy to the team. He's always been our leader, whether he's here or not. And so having the opportunity to be here to race with him it's good for all of us. It's good for the younger team members because it allows them to see who we work for, how we should be as team members, and really as we go through the sport, our accountability to our owners it has to be the highest degree of certainty of what we're doing. And there's, Doug provides a great platform, but he also provides, great leadership when he's steering the boat.
And while I've got you, to ask about new boats. We've had new boats being built the last couple of years. Yeah. You would like one?
We would love one. We'd love to have a new boat, but I respect why we're not doing it right now. But we'll see what happens in the weeks and days to come. And if the opportunity presents itself, we did have great communications with a couple of the design offices through the winter, and chose to hold. But we're in a good spot with American Magic that if we need to build a couple custom TP52s, we can. We've retained a lot of our manufacturing team from the America's Cup, and so really we're setting ourselves up to either build boats or to build custom in rocket parts, or whatever it is of the day that we can do, but really to help promote the design side, the manufacturing side of things that we've learned inside the America's Cup. Doing a couple TP52s would be right in our wheelhouse.
And it'd be great for us. But meantime, what's it like being in Saint-Tropez? You love it?
This is the first time racing here. So I've never been here before, and so far it's a bit light, but man, when you walk around this venue and you're out there on the water, you have to pinch yourself for the opportunities and the places that we've had to sail, and the people that we get to sail with. I saw Vasco this morning, and the best part about it was our first bottom mark together yesterday, we got a penalty. He flagged and we got a penalty. And he said, "Terry, do you think you had an overlap?" I said, "Not a chance. No way did we have an overlap." I said, "But it's you, Vasco," so we had to go in there.
Fantastic. Thanks, Terry. Have a great regatta.
Thank you.
So that rivalry is resumed. It's been going on for many, many years. It's been on ice for a couple of years, that rivalry between Vasco Voscotto and Terry Hutchison. Long time rivals. And as Terry said, straight back at it the other day in the practice race. And we'll see how things go today. But really, it's all about consistency. We keep saying that over the course of each and every season. it's really going to be about seeing who can get off the start line best today. Try and avoid the big shockers, avoid the big mistakes, and try and just keep putting in decent results. Top 3, top 4, top 5 in this fleet would be enough to win the regatta if you could keep doing that each and every day. But I think we're expecting even the top teams to can expect to spend a little bit of time in the second half of the fleet, perhaps. Just such is the level of competition, and really everybody's fairly rusty. So we're just at just under 5 minutes to go. Katie, how's this course looking then? Seems to be still quite light breeze, 5 or 6 knots by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's still quite light. I think, as you say, it's kind of around 6 knots, maybe slightly more. The teams have just been making, I think, quite last-minute jib calls on whether they use J1s or J1.5s, trying to guess what the wind is going to do throughout this race. But it looks relatively consistent across the course. You've got to take into account that the land on the right-hand side as you're looking at wind and kind of seeing what effect that might have on the racing. But in terms of breeze, to me right now, it's looking like pretty even across the course from here.
In terms of strategies, this is a 50 race season in theory. Even, hopefully we'll make up some races here. We've lost a day, but in general, there's no discards. You can't afford to get big scores. So what's the general strategies? What are the afterguards be going to try and do today in terms of how they set up?
I think today, I think they're probably wary that maybe this is the first day of the season, and they always say that you can't win a regatta on the first day, but you can definitely lose it. So I think they're probably not going to be trying to do anything too crazy, just trying to probably sail what they see and just make the most of it, and try not to go too much out on a limb away from the rest of the fleet, because at this point in the season it's really not worth taking those big risks. As you say, it's a complete numbers game, and no discards is quite big. Every race counts, and I think today they're just going to want to kind of get rid of the dust a little bit and get into it and get a bit of confidence from the day of racing.
But at Upwind, they've done practice racing over the weekend and the previous few days coming into the regatta. They've done some practice in Valencia, but race day, first day of the season, it all feels very different, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely different. The nerves will definitely be there, especially after yesterday, not racing on the first day of a regatta and the first day of the season. That's always really tricky, because the anticipation is there, the nerves are there, and everyone's just really raring to go. So it's always it's double on the second day. But I think they'll be trying to really keep calm, focus on the processes, just kind of get into it, and then once they're going, I think they'll all be happy.
So a few changes in the afterguards, I say, principally looking at Gladiator, Quantum, or American Magic Quantum Racing in particular. I think on sled we've got a different helmsman. So it's really time and distance, getting off this start line, good positioning, good communication that does tend to favour the settled teams, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you put the teams under pressure, and when you put add the nerves into the teams, it's definitely the teams which are kind of used to working together, have their processes in place. I think they're the teams that are really going to be able to cope with the more stressful situations, or the higher nerves.
So just coming into 1 minute before the start, Katie, just talk to us. What do you see on the start line? Just at a gun?
Yeah.
1 minute.
So you've that was the 1 minute just gone. You've got Criolla at the bottom. A lot of the boats seem to be racking up quite close to the starboard end. I think the starboard end seems pretty favoured, and I kind of agree. If I was on that start line, I'd be definitely wanting to be up at that end and trying to think about going out to the right towards the land. So you've got most of the boats up there. It looks like it'll be probably a pretty tight battle at the top. I can see Gladiator and Quantum up there having a bit of a battle, trying to keep their gaps to accelerate into. And I think when the boats are all bunched up like this at an end, it's so important to to get a clear start and get that lane out, because you don't want to be second row, you don't want to be slow off the line.
So final seconds looking like Gladiator might jump the gun just very slightly, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was an OCS by Gladiator there, which is not an ideal start for them for this race.
General recall then. Quantum going back, or
yeah, general
Magical.
recall. That just goes to show the nerves on the first race. I think that's so common that we see on the first race of regattas a general recall, because everyone's just so eager, and so the nerves are kind of there pushing. So I'm not surprised that was a general, to be honest with you.
They did, but just to explain, the boats will carry on dragging upwind just to pace themselves against each other and get a feel for the upwind in kind of race mode, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a start and you've gone off the start line, you may as well continue. Just continue for a little bit until you go back downwind, just to see how you're lining up, just to kind of get tuned in to what that wind is going to be off the start, and just kind of as a practice run. There's nothing to lose by carrying on upwind a tiny bit here.
Indeed. So we go back into sequence momentarily. Did we learn anything interesting off the start? I mean, it just seemed to be very even, quite right end of the line biased.
Yeah, I think that's another thing about generals, is that everyone's now kind of shown their hand of what they're thinking about doing during the day. So everyone knows that the starboard end is clearly a favoured end, and that you can kind of see that people's strategies are maybe thinking more towards the right-hand side of the course. So I anticipate that this next start will probably be a little bit more of the same, everyone battling out for that end.
But anyway, it's good to get even in some senses, it's good to get a practice start away. It does kind of settle the nerves a little bit. And the teams certainly seem to be Quantum and Gladiator, who are pushing forward early. Certainly Quantum were coming bow forward quite early, trying to scrub off speed momentarily, and I think Gladiator kind of responded to that. But it's the finer points of communication. That's really what's tested on day one like this, isn't it? Trying to be completely clear in what's required in terms of timing and positioning. But nonetheless, Katie, very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. I feel anticipation, and I'm not even on the boats.
No, that's a good sign.
It looks like some of the boats are. Yeah, absolutely. It looks like some of the boats are changing jibs here as well at the moment. I think maybe they're seeing a bit of a change of wind, maybe a little bit of an increase by the looks of it. So I think that, yeah, it looks like they're all kind of changing up from the light wind jibs to their not so light wind jibs.
What would the typical range be for the J1?
I think probably somewhere around 8-9 knots and below would be my assumption for that. And I think for the mains it's kind of 12 and below for their light wind mains. So I think today unless the wind picks up a lot more, they'll probably be staying on their lighter wind mains. But they've got more jibs and kites than they have mains in terms of for the different wind conditions. And it's always tricky to make the call on which jib you use, because the races are an hour long. So you've got to kind of predict what the wind will be doing, not just at the start, but in an hour's time when you're doing the rest of the race.
Indeed, and just to explain, you can't generally change head sails easily in that range, or the 1.5. We would tend to try and avoid that wherever possible. But the general trend, we seem to think, according to Maria, was the breeze will build. She was saying up to potentially 15 knots in the afternoon, but certainly looking the overhead views from the drone, it's certainly the water's getting darker and more promising. So we're going to settle things down, get into the next sequence fairly quickly. As Katie said, some changes being made. We can see there Colle Parada just putting some turns on the rig for Provezza, setting up for just a little bit more breeze. He's the rig specialist on board there, and they're also setting up their new different jib. But let's have a look at the lineup on board the Provezza. It's very settled after guard. As usual, no changes there. Owner, of course, Ergen Imri has been in this sport at Grand Prix level for dozens of years. Super proud Turkish owner. Team owner, John Cutler, Olympic bronze medalist in America's Cup and world match racing expert as helmsman. Hamish Pepper, a tactician who is really one of the most consistent tacticians across the classes over the course of last season in particular. Really, really strong, great relationship with fellow Kiwi Cutler. Nacho Postigo needs no introduction, but a super cool, calm and collected, very, very intelligent navigator with great experience. Of course, Provezza won here in 2023. Floater Harry Hall, Mariano Parada, Colle Parada, backstay trimmer. He's also strategist working with Pepsi and is the rig specialist in particular. Skip Baxter, Daniel Fong, Grant Loretz all need no introduction. Been with the team for many years and really are the one of the strongest speed teams we've got in the fleet. Then our grinders, Pietro Mantovani and Matt Barber. And our two key Turkish sailors still on board, a long time friends and crew members for Ergen, Togan Alper and Kivanc Sevinc in the mid-bow. Still amateur sailors on board Provezza, and bow Joan Fuji Fulana on the bow. So that's the Provezza lineup. I say really settled. They're another team that have made a virtue of keeping their same afterguard, and why wouldn't they after the successes they've had? Been certainly one of the most consistent teams, not the luckiest team over the last few years. 2023 they finished on equal points, but were leading into the end of the season, and really they're due an overall circuit title, and they're really pushing for that this year, having built a new boat which they launched in last August, done just the 2 regattas. This is their 3rd regatta. So as Nacho Postigo said, still very much on the learning curve, although they seem to be, he said, quite confident in the lighter breeze. But still settling down, just trying to decide what jibs we're on. Platoon, another team with a very settled afterguard. 2023 champions, and really in the end had a late charge last year, coming up with a deficit from the States, but really were probably the strongest finisher, and in the end just missing out by a single point to Quantum Racing, now American Magic. So what would you be thinking about this upwind generally in terms of, as you said, the topography, the geography of the course, Katie?
Yeah, so I'd be thinking about definitely protecting the right. I'd be wondering if, depending on how close you get into the shore, how far up the course goes, I'd definitely be thinking about whether there'd be any kind of wind bend around the land. I'd be, if I was going to hedge my bets on a side, I'd probably hedge it on the right hand side, just because of that land over there and what the wind could do around that land.
But it's an interesting course in terms of the land, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is, and we are quite close in, and you've got the land on your right, and then pretty open sea out to the left. So if it is a stable breeze direction, and if the breeze isn't shifting at all, then I think that land could be a big feature. I think if the breeze starts to get a little bit more unstable, I think I'd be thinking more about about playing any shifts that were coming in with the unstable breeze. I think that might become more of a feature than the land if it gets more unstable. But if we keep seeing this stable breeze, potentially building breeze, then I think, yeah, that right hand side could be pretty powerful.
So certainly Gladiator seem to have made their jib choice, one of the first really, or certainly got it up and getting ready to start sailing again. I think they've continued to delay a little bit, Katie, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we're still delayed just while the boats change their settings, change their jibs, kind of get dialed back in with the conditions. We've seen on quite a few of the boats, they've sent someone up the mast to have a look up the race course and see what they can see from further up the mast, because you can see a lot more, just to see kind of what's going on further up the course. And I think the race committee is just giving them time to do all of those checks and make those calls for themselves.
So Gladiator heading upwind. Let's have a look at the Gladiator lineup. One or two changes on board, not least, as we said before, Tony Langley moving back into the role he actually prefers as a helmsman, but this is the lineup on board Gladiator. Certainly this first regatta, Ray Davis, in America's Cup winning coach, joining the Gladiator lineup, coming in as a strategist. Sailed with the Gladiator many times before, won the 52 Super Series with Team New Zealand, of course. Otherwise, the Gigi Parada moving to the role of tactician, Ray Davis on the runners as a strategist. Chris Hosking, the main trimmer, has been with the team. This will be his second year, I think, with the team, and a real powerhouse in the middle of the boat. Very, very good eyes for the spotting the breeze. Joey Newton, the Australian, is jib trimmer. Stir fry, Simon Fry. Kite trim, Carlo Husman. Big, powerful aft grinder. Francesco Scalici, his opposite number in forward grind. Jeff Povey, the legendary Sheriff of Nottingham, in aft grinder. Freddie Carr rejoins the team after his spell with Ineos Team Great Britain, and he's back in the pit, back on board. Bradley McLaughlin on the mid-bow, and Matt Cornwell, cat flap, the super dependable bowman on board the Gladiator. So say a few little changes. Great to see Freddie Carr back on board, sailor with so much experience in world yachting, but in particular in 52s, goes way back on the 52s, and he's a real great motivator in the middle of the boat, keeping things calm and keeping everyone focused. So that's the Gladiator team, just now getting a view of how the teams are settled down on the start line. There's American Magic, Quantum Racing, Alpha Plus. Missing Leo Takahashi, who was the young helmsman over the last season, who's been elevated to great things with Team New Zealand and the Black Foils Sail GP team. But their lineup, Nick Igno Johnson coming in as helmsman, young Kiwi, 26 years old, double national champion match racer, but lots of big boat experience. Tom Burton, the Olympic laser gold medalist. Sean Kang, owner. Ian Moore, again super experienced. He's joined the team this season, but a really, really experienced navigator in the 52 Super Series fleet, previously with Interlodge, but won the World Championship in the past with Quantum Racing. Steve Trebich, the project manager. Luke van der Kamp, floater. Rod Dawson, the main trimmer, again super experienced 52 Super Series trimmer. Alex Goff and Zach Hurst, big powerful Phil Clapp, still broke another indoor rowing record, a new world record through the winter. Craig Monk, his opposite number, and the grinders, Brian Yunsi, and the pit, James Mitchell mid-bow, and Pedro Mas on the bow. So that's the lineup on the Alpha Plus team, and a team with great expectations. Got a good result, I think 5th in the second regatta in the US and were winning races, and they've set their the bar high, they set their expectations high for this season. But of course they started out their career with the 52 Super Series 2 years ago here in Saint-Tropez. It looks like the breeze is still coming in. Certainly boats are moving well in the starting area. What a beautiful venue it is. But quite unusual to be racing here this early in the season. So generally it's Les Voiles de Saint-Tropez in September and the Giraglia that brings the Grand Prix sailing to this area. So it's not so well known in this springtime. So there we go, on board the Gladiator. Jeff Povey there on the left. Katie, Jeff Povey, something of a legend in the Gladiator circles.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been there from the start. He is an absolute legend. I think that's the only word you can use for it. He just loves it. He loves the team, loves being on the boat, loves getting involved. He's legend.
And he's Tony's best friend and has been, from way back. I think they actually learned to sail together in the very, very beginning. So it's really, we kind of rib him and joke about him a little bit, but it's so great to see him still alongside Tony all these years on.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been friends since school, so they've grown up together. They've been friends since forever. So it's amazing actually to see that friendship and see it so strong and see them doing what they love together still now. It's really cool.
In the middle of the boat, they're just seeing Bruno Zerilli, the Italian navigator. Seeing, at the moment, certainly Guigi on the helm. Just hearing a message from our race officer, Maria Torrijo. Did you hear what she was saying? Katie was just giving the course.
No, I didn't quite hear that. What she said, that one.
We certainly still seem to be delayed. Let's see what we know.
You're good.
14.
Thank you.
14:27 is going to be the new warning signal. So plenty of time to review this upwind. Breeze seems to be nice and settled, but just watching Vayu coming into the picture. Vayu had that fantastic win at the first regatta in Newport at the New York Yacht Club. A real dream for the team. Got a few changes on board. They have Manu Weiler is on board this season as tactician. He was the tactician when they won in Newport. The other interesting thing, we were just speaking about Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus have joined the Quantum Sales program. So they now have now part of the 4 teams who all work together under chief coach James Line, share the same briefings and debriefings and data collection and analysis service. And I've been fortunate to go to a few of their briefings and debriefings over the years, and really the one thing is there's absolutely no hiding place. It's all done, or all the performances measured to the nth degree. So, trying to see who would be up the mast on the Gladiator, Katie, is it?
I think it's most likely Cat Flap
Yeah.
up there, I think.
So far, he seems to be the only person we have up a rig, but just to explain, Katie, that gives you a much better vantage point, obviously, with some height.
Yeah, absolutely. It just means you can see the water a lot clearer. You can kind of look for any holes or dark patches, maybe see which side of the course is a bit windier, and maybe see if further up the course it's looking windier or lighter than what it is at the start, because it's not, when you're picking the sails, it's not just the start you're picking the sails for, it's for the top of the course as well. So just being up there and being able to see further than you can see from being at water level is so important and so useful.
So we're looking at a warning signal at 27 in a couple of minutes. All the teams now very much settled or made their choices in terms of head sails. So it will be interesting to see whether the teams generally line up the same as in terms of positioning as we saw with that first start, which was general recall. So the new team this season, Alcedo, powered by Vitamina, Andrea Lacorte, very successful, or quite successful in the Club Swan 50 class, but he wanted to step up to the top level, and he said in his interview that we had with him in Valencia, that this really is his personal dream come true, to be competing at the highest possible level. He's got a great team round about him, with Cameron Appleton as the tactician. Cam, of course, are the Interlodge finished on the podium at the first regatta of last season in Palmavella a year ago, and so there's a few of the Interlodge guys on board, including Dave Armitage. So they have the potential to do really, the sky's the limit. They can put together some good races. No reason why they couldn't at least repeat the performance of the boat a year ago. Certainly Cameron Appleton is one of the best tacticians in the fleet. Criolla, our Brazilian team, no significant changes to their team for this new season. Won the practice race a couple of days ago, or one of the practice races, along with Vayu.
That means luck. Three.
I call them for you.
You are so perfect.
Oh, entertainment. So nice. That's wild.
So we're inside the start sequence, inside 3.5 minutes. How's it looking, Katie? Did they actually move the pin a little bit, perhaps? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they potentially dropped it back a little bit, but it's looking a bit windier now than the last start. The wind's definitely got up a little bit, and I think as the wind gets more and more established, that that the right will start to get a bit stronger. So I think everyone will still probably be wanting to fight for that right hand side. It'll be interesting to see which teams are the ones that are going to be fighting hardest to get to that side, and which teams are thinking maybe actually, okay, just clear start is a priority here rather than the biased end, and going with that strategy instead. But I think it'll be probably slightly more conservative than the last time, just because there was the general last time. But I still think there will be teams fighting for that starboard end for sure.
Just watching how things shape up. A few words about Sarah Stone coming in as a navigator. Katie, that's a big job on a team which has won 52 Super Series 6 times.
Yeah, absolutely. The navigator is such an important role on these boats, especially with the starts, with the timings and angles to the line. The start is really pivotal. It's the most important part of the race, and as a navigator, that is a big part of your job. So it's a really important role, and it'll be interesting and cool to see how she gets on doing it.
Good luck then to Sarah, but they seem to be finding their position, still going out towards the committee boat end of the line. We are at 1 minute and 15 seconds. As you said, it is generally the right end of the line, the starboard end of the line, which seems to be favoured. Not everybody will be able to start on the boat.
Yeah, you've got the group is still at the boat again as last time. Interestingly, Criolla, the last couple of starts and also in the practice racing, they've been favouring the pin end start, favouring the clear wind, and I think judging by the same start, this start, they're at the pin end, and I think their strategy is definitely going to be going for the clear start, the clear wind, and maybe giving up a bit of the bias end or a bit of the end towards to the gain feature out to the right. But you've got the same culprits as last time this race, really, up at that starboard end. You've got Gladiator and American Magic fighting for that boat end position, really trying to fight for their gaps up there. Gladiator's punched out a little bit, so potentially a little bit vulnerable on the line again, and a little bit vulnerable above the boat. I think anyone that's happy to sit above the boat, you're waiting for a gap to appear, and it looks like it hasn't, which has been a bit tricky. But yeah, it looks like I think Sled, I think it is up there. It looks like they've got a really solid start up at the boat end. Really clear wind. Another general recall. I guess I was wrong about the thinking they'd be a bit more conservative this time. I think when you have such a strong game feature on a race course, or when you have everyone thinking that a side is going to be super powerful, I think you can't afford to be holding back on those starts, and you're going to have people really pushing for that boat end, because that's what everyone deems to be the winning move. So I think, yeah, these generals are just kind of evidence of how strong I think the fleet thinks that right-hand side is going to be on this race course.
And in general, not what you want on day one, when nerves are so high, to have two general recalls in a row. It doesn't settle the nerves, does it?
No, absolutely not. Two general recalls after a day of light wind waiting. I think this is about as max anticipation or as max nerves as you could possibly get. But third time lucky, hopefully. Hopefully they'll have got it out of their systems and they'll be a bit more disciplined on the line on this one.
Would you anticipate Maria bringing the pin forward a little bit, or?
Yeah, I think that would be a sensible move, especially if you can see kind of the trend in the fleet is to, well, no one's really giving an inch. No one wants to give up that position, and if it means that they're pushing everyone else over at the same time as themselves, then so be it. So I think maybe something, taking a bit of the bias out or making it a bit more pin bias so that it's less of a disadvantage to be a bit more spread out down the line. I think that would be a good call, but I'm not a race officer, so I can't speak to that.
Would you like to be a navigator? Would you like to be in Sarah Stone's shoes?
Would I like to be in their shoes? I mean, I'd like to be on these boats in any capacity, honestly. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think I'd have a bit on these starts.
But no, it's good to know. So anyway, we'll go straight into the next start, and as Katie said, hopefully third time lucky. Everybody kind of shown their hand a little bit. bowman up the rig on. Just doing some rig tuning on board Alcedo. It's a big day for this team. Andrea Lacorte from Pisa. Super proud Italian. And how great it is to see an Italian flag team back in the 52 Super Series. Putting the blue decks on the black, or formerly black interlodge. Certainly you don't miss them on the race course, do you, Katie?
No, absolutely not. I love the colour of their deck. I think that blue is, I really like that colour.
A lucky colour, I hope.
I'm sure it is, yeah. We'll see.
So for sure the nerves are jangling. We just need to get this start away, get a race under our belts. It's kind of be fascinating to see who can score first blood of this 2025 season. 5 regattas. Second time we have been here in Saint-Tropez in the springtime. And in fact, in the end, although we missed the first day of racing yesterday, it's looking pretty good, and from memory I can see us getting a better day, a better first day of racing than we did last time in 2023. French team just sailing through our picture, Paprec. Jean-Luc Petit-Huguenin is the long-time campaigner. The Paprec team really, actually, ironically, got together just at the end of the previous iteration of the Admiral's Cup. Were very much an offshore-orientated team before. So that's 4-minute signal from the race committee boat we've just heard. Of course, the bow numbers reflect in general, reflect the position that the teams finished last year in at the end of 2024, that final regatta in Valencia. One of the most exciting of the year, not just because it settled the outcome of the season, but because we had such great conditions, good breezes, offshore, shifty, difficult. Really a perfect finale to a season. And this season will finish in Porto-Cervo in September. And if you're reflecting what a difference a year makes, if you look where Platoon were this time last year with a new untried boat, really struggled in Palma last year. Alegre was also brand new, slightly further ahead, having been sailed for 3 or 4 weeks more than Platoon. So coming up to 2 minutes to go. Quick on board. With platoon, Harmler Spreer. Mickey Miller there on the pumps with Andy Axelson. Jordi Calafat on the left, strategist. Just holding their position. Patrick coming in from the right, trying to find that position. They've always seemed to try and come in on the boat a little bit late. Katie, 1:20. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think if I was here, I'd be trying to learn from the last two starts, and I think it's pretty evident in the last two starts that there's not going to be any space at the boat if you're coming in late at the boat. So I think I'd be maybe thinking about trying to create myself a gap a little bit further down, just to make sure that I actually make the ley line to the boat on this race. And it looks like the fleet is potentially doing that a bit more. They seem to be a little bit further down the line, kind of looking for their gaps. But you've still got Gladiator and Paprec up above the boat end, which I think in these conditions, with the clear bias towards that boat end for the boats wanting to be there, I think that's the high risk strategy again. But yeah, you've got everyone's kind of lining up still quite early to the line. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a bit of a cleaner one than last time, and we'll see if those boats at the committee boat end actually are able to create themselves a gap and are able to make that boat end work coming in late.
It's we've still got
again, you've got Criolla at the bottom of the fleet again, so I think their starting strategy is pretty clear wind, just get going fast at the gun. It looks like that boat end's actually super congested. I think looking at the start, the boats on the gun were all going pretty slow, and I think that's pretty detrimental. I think you want to be going pretty fast at the gun, and the boats closer towards the pin end have definitely managed to do that. You've got Provezza that's really managed to punch out of that start, and I think looking at from where I'm sat, Provezza's start they've definitely kind of won this start and have got a bit of a jump on the rest of the fleet in terms of punching out of the lineup out of the start.
Yeah, perfect timing. Just started pushing forward at just the right time. I was watching the other monitor and I was just thinking, actually, they're just on it. I was concerned they were going to be a little bit over, but absolute credit to John Cutler, to Hamish Pepper, to Nacho Postigo, the afterguard, and of course Colla Parada. They called that one right, and they've got pace off the line. Although the old boat, Criolla, coming off the pin end quite nicely. But everybody's starting to, or most boats started to flip over onto port. Gladiator, I think, first to tack. And Provezza going with that half of the fleet.
Yeah, Provezza's position to me looks pretty strong. They managed to punch out at that start, get a bit ahead, and now tacking back on top of the rest of the fleet that's tacked out to the right hand side. So I think they're clear lane, going fast, looking really strong to me at the moment.
We've just heard that Provezza are given UFD. I'd say I was watching them on the other monitor and I just thought they were just absolutely on it. So that's hard, isn't it, for them? Really.
Yeah, that's not the ideal way you want to start a regatta, but I mean the start was solid from them, minus being over. But yeah, it's really not ideal. First race of the season to be getting kind of maximum points. That's not really gonna help them, and I wonder if that'll kind of change the way they approach the rest of this day and maybe the rest of the next few days, trying to claw back a few of those points.
Just explain a UFD. That's over the start line. You can't.
So that UFD, yeah, over the start line it's within the last minute to the gun. If you're over the start line, then it means you're disqualified from that race.
And of course, we have no discards anyway in the series in the circuit. But Gladiator seemed to come out of this quite well. In fact, starting pretty much at the committee boat, first to tack over, so Allegra also good. So Provezza seemed to be going back.
Yeah, that's going to be quite a long wait for Provezza for these guys to finish this race. It's going to be, I'd be interested to see what they're all saying on board and how they can kind of keep composure and get back into it for the next race and make sure that they make the next one count.
But in the meantime, the early lead is with the Gladiator. Allegra and American Magic going well. All three boats in the right of the group looking upwind. Platoon Aviation not so good. Don't know what happened to them off the start line. Did you see their start in particular, Katie?
No, I didn't see their start in particular, but there was a bunch of boats up at that starboard end, and I think if they were caught up in that bunch of boats and caught up going slow, then they probably were in a compromised lane, which meant that they couldn't get up to full speed, and then it becomes hard to pick a lane when you want to tack back out, especially if you're trying to get out to the right. Getting a clear lane to go all the way out there is super important. So I think there's so much weight on that start, and if you're being covered, or if you're in a bunch on a start line, it just makes the next part of the upwind super hard.
On board with American Magic, lying third just now, about 50-55 metres behind Gladiator. The Gladiator, just you can see them under the boom. And certainly according to our tracker, Creole are doing quite okay out on the left side, having come off the left side of the line. I'm not going to call it the pin because they were still about a third of the way down from the signal boat. Anyway, good to see the Brazilian team going well early on. The virtues of buying a fully optimised boat was evident last season. Really were pretty much in the match from day one, once they'd got their processes and their mechanical sorted out, their manoeuvres. But certainly great conditions, Katie.
Yeah, the conditions just seem to be getting better and better, honestly. The wind's building a little bit. You've got the boats fully powered up now. Yeah, it's a beautiful day sailing, honestly. I think it's perfect conditions for some good racing.
So Gladiator on that right, along with Allegra, strongest at the moment. But we really kind of think that when these top two boats tack onto starboard, their advantage will start to build even more, do we, Katie?
Yeah, I think when they tack back onto starboard, then we'll be able to kind of see the effects of if there is any effects of that land, and see the angles that the boats are heading up to the mark at. I think this ley line might be quite a tricky one to call for the navigators. Do you kind of go early and hope that the wind bend is there, or do you kind of go on lay and then potentially allow the other boats to tack inside you? So that would be probably one of the conversations that they're having on board, is around how they approach this ley line, and at what point they want to tack back, and what their strategy is in terms of coming back at the rest of the fleet on starboard.
So Quantum seemed to have tacked earlier of that top group. It's certainly interesting talking with Tony Langley yesterday, just saying how he's always wanted, always expected to come back to steering the boat. But he's learned, he said, besides what he's learned about the processes of bringing the team up to World Championship winning level, he's learned so much also about steering, just from watching and learning from Gigi Parada. This is turning into quite an exciting race, with Criolla crossing ahead of American Magic coming from the left. Tactician on Criolla, 2 times Brazilian Olympian Sam Albrecht. Seeing a nice high line on port going across. Certainly don't think they're going to cross Allegra. It'll be interesting to see what Allegra do. But they're certainly close on Allegra, and they've got good wind. The Gladiator actually moving steadily clear, Katie. Certainly seem to have good legs in this.
It's quite, yeah.
Go on.
Sorry, yeah, it's quite hard to see from here about the whether they're crossing, but I think Gladiator does have the cross on Criolla. But it's just super interesting. You've got basically the boat that was one of the furthest right boat at the boat end, the fighting kind of coming in late and then tacking out first to tack out, and then you've got the complete opposite end of the strategy, and you've got the port end boat gone for clear wind and then tacked out above the fleet. And it's really interesting that actually both of those strategies have worked, and they've both ended up really close at the top, and then the boats in the middle are kind of fighting out in the middle. So yeah, it's quite a cool, it's a cool thing to see.
Indeed, there's not very much in it, 60 or 70 metres between Gladiator and Criolla. And Paprec also very much in the mix, having got themselves into nice position, actually overhauling very close with Allegra at the moment. Sled in 6th, just watching them tack. So Provezza back waiting near the start line. Have to process their disappointment, learn from it. But really, as you said, Katie, you can't win the circuit, win the season, win the regatta on the first day. But putting 11 points on the board straight off is really not what you want. However, you do have to push the risks in this fleet on a start like that. But certainly everything else notwithstanding, it's, you know, and your bias aside, Katie, such as it is, it's great to see Gladiator where they are, having come off the line, considering where they were at the end of last season. Massively disappointed, and these changes to the afterguard, it's good to see them straight into the lead in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know all of those guys super well, and as you say, my slight personal bias is towards them, but yeah, it's really great to see them up there, and it'll be a massive confidence boost for the team going into this season with a different lineup, as you say, different helm. Like they're super big changes to be making, and I think they'll be really happy with how they're doing currently. Yeah.
Let's not curse them, but at the moment they're sailing a really nice race. American Magic just coming in there and tacking onto starboard. Crayola coming in a little bit tight, but getting through. I'm not sure about that one with American Magic. Our umpires will be on the spot, but Gladiator well clear of the fleet. Katie, take us round the windward mark.
Yeah, so you had an interesting, you had the different ley lines that all of the different teams chose. You had Gladiator on a relatively chilled ley line, and then you had Crayola on a slightly tighter one. Yeah, but you've got Gladiator with a little bit of a gap now on the spreader going towards the spreader leg. So they've got a comfortable gap to do the kind of hoist that they're pretty happy to be doing. I think by the looks of it, Crayola are doing a penalty turn currently. They've infringed at the windward mark, which is going to be quite costly to them.
Tacked in American Magic's water, but Crayola's penalty, and then American Magic then will move up to third for sure. Fourth will be Paprec. Alcedo.
You've had a jibe set out the windward mark from Gladiator, so that's quite a strong call from them to be jibing out straight away. And then the second boat, Allegra, they're continuing. You're going to have, I think, a bit of a split down this downwind mark, but it's super close racing still. The whole fleet has kind of already rounded the windward, so there's really not a lot in it. I think it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see which sides kind of come out strongest.
Well, what an exciting first upwind and the beginning of the downwind, splitting the fleet. Gladiator leading with the jibe set, going down towards the left-hand side of the course. Just typical of a right-hand course. Breeze building really nicely as we come down this run. Some great images already with Allegra pushing hard, coming down more to the right. Coming downwind, pursued by Paprec. Paprec have a bunch of new sails for this season, so we can expect a little bit of more speed for them. Allegra seem to be going quite well out this right side. I think potentially with a little bit more pressure. You'd imagine the angle was with Gladiator. Gladiator were about 60 metres clear round the top mark. It's now 35, 40. And the gap to Paprec has opened out quite substantially. So looking at this first run, Al-Qaeda really with a bit between their teeth coming down this run, seem to be going quite fast, catching, if anything, American Magic. Not so much in it. On board with American Magic, that fireball of energy, Terry Hutchison. Just sorting out the boat trim. Pat Brett going quite nicely as well in third, at 40 metres ahead of American Magic. So that penalty really costing the Brazilian team in 7th place now, potentially 3rd or 4th round the top mark. We're on this right side of the course looking downwind just now with Criolla and Sled just inside them. Sled in 6th in the water. How's this run looking for you, Katie? I think the breeze just now for me looks to be more on the left side.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. I think it's going to be a really important call on the timing for the jibe back. You can see though that these boats are all kind of first race fighting because you've got a split first and second. You've got a split down the run, and I think they're really trying. They're not trying to consolidate at this time in the season. They're trying to really push for every single place. I think the jibe back from Gladiator and American Magic Quantum is going to be a really important call to be making on the timing of that jibe.
I mean, I must admit I'm finding it fascinating because Guiche, for all that he's a great helmsman, he's also a great tactician, and in this instant or in this role now got a much better view of the race course. And they seem pretty settled at the moment on board. He's just keeping the information flowing, and they are just on the right. So to Ray Davis, just saying what he's seeing.
Yeah, I think although that there has been a lot of changes in terms of the roles in the team, I think fundamentally they have all worked together before, especially Guige and Tony. They have worked together before in the opposing roles. So actually, although there is a shift in the roles, I think the communication channels and the way that they communicate and the things that they like to hear, I think are fundamentally kind of the same. So I think that really is helping them out with this transition, and it's allowing them to kind of easily step into those opposing roles.
Certainly some clear communication there from Guige, which is essential. You know, there's no dubiety. On board with Allegra there. Will Ryan there in the blue jacket, the strategist. Nick Asher, tactician, white t-shirt, and Francesco Mongelli with the tablet over his back. Andy Hemmings trimming. So Platoon Aviation giving themselves a lot of work from day one with lying in ninth just now. Their next boat they could get through would be Value. They're still 30 or 40 metres behind them. Coming into the first leeward gate of the season, the world champions leading. Terry Hutchison, flag in hand. Don't know whether that's an attacking or defensive situation. We're just ready for the preemptive move, but anyway, Gladiator 130, 140 metres ahead of Allegra. How do we like this leeward gate? What's your thoughts, Kitty?
I would be thinking that if I was one of the kind of the leading two boats, I'd be probably wanting to be heading out to the right again at wind. So I'd be going around the left-hand gate, looking downwind, especially if I was going around with space, so that my lane wasn't compromised. But I think having a clear lane out that side is important. So maybe if I was a bit more in the fleet and the clear lane out to that side was looking a bit compromised, I'd potentially be thinking about going around the other mark. But yeah, I think trying to get out to that right hand side however you can would be my priority. Having said that, Gladiator's now going around the opposite mark.
Not listening to you.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of the fleet are going around that right-hand mark, looking at wind. You've got Gladiator and Allegre both going around that mark. Potentially, the thought might be around having the fleet coming downwind still above you. You don't want to be going slow with being covered by the fleet when you go around those leeward marks. So that's definitely a factor you'd probably want to be bearing in mind as well. But we have got the first boat. You got Paprec going around that left-hand mark, looking up downwind now. So you have got a bit of a split.
Gladiator seemed to come around, or seemed to be bareheaded momentarily. I don't quite know what happened. Seemed to certainly do a very early drop. Take some time to sort their head sail out. Paprec coming round the right-hand mark, looking quite nice. Certainly ahead of American Magic. Then very close between Vitamina and Criolla. Sled in 7th. Alpha Plus going round the right hand mark, but seemed to be a little bit slow on the rounding. Platoon 9th and Value 10th. So Katie, Gladiator looking pretty solid going up this second beat of race 1, 52 Super Series Saint-Tropez Sailing Week, first regatta of the season. The world champions on top. Credit to the
Yeah, I
effort.
think they're looking pretty solid right now. I think that was a good call by them to kind of avoid having to sail back underneath the fleet while the rest of the fleet's going downwind. I think for them to be able to go around that mark and then tack back when they had a clear lane to go across without having any kind of dirty wind from the boats, I think that was a really powerful call from them, and they're looking pretty strong. And I think from here, if they just kind of keep sailing their own race, keep just trying to sail as fast as they can, sail to the numbers, I think they should hopefully be able to kind of continue out where they are.
You're just desperately avoiding the curse of the commentator.
Yeah, I'm trying not to say anything
don't
too
jinx them, but,
definitive.
yeah. But logically, objectively, they have the lead there, and the breeze is fairly even across the course, certainly in terms of wind strength. 10 to 12 knots, 205
Absolutely, and they've got everyone kind of following them back out now, so they're in a strong position. And I think the general strategy is the same in all boats, isn't it? If you're kind of leading, you want to keep between the mark and the rest of the fleet, and I think fundamentally that's the safest place to be. And I think right now they're managing to do that pretty well, leading the fleet back across to the right hand side. So yeah, looking pretty strong to me.
So looking like it's pretty close between Paprec and Allegre. Our tracker has Paprec up to second. I think Allegre lost just a little bit with that. Didn't seem to get a very smooth rounding at the leeward gate. Meantime, this battle going on between Alpha Plus and Platoon Aviation for 9th and 10th. So what did we learn on that first upwind, Katie, in terms of the geographical shift? Was it quite pronounced or subtle, or what did you see? Or non-existent?
Yeah, I think we learned that the right was pretty powerful, but potentially not as powerful as kind of I was initially thinking. Potentially not far enough into shore to be seeing super powerful, because we saw Criolla coming from slightly further left than the rest of the fleet. But I still think that is if you were going to do the winning route on this race course, I still think that effect is big enough. But I think clear wind is also a really big factor.
Yeah, I'm just asking because you're looking at Paprec working further to the right on this upwind. Gladiator very much consolidating, I think. American Magic and Allegra on the attack. Quick tack on board American Magic. Doug DeVos, then owner-driver on the helm this regatta and the next one. Great to see him back, but a little bit of a baptism of fire in this fleet. He has done a couple of regattas on the Great Lakes 52s, but this is an altogether different level. And you have to say kudos to Gladiator just now. They certainly have extended very slightly, almost well just on 200 metres ahead. And this fleet, that's comfortable. Just watching now, Pat Preck.
Yeah, I think with this race course and this,
Yeah.
I think with this race course in these conditions, I think it's one of those rich get richer kind of days where if you're at the front and you can kind of race the fastest route around the course, then you're going to be able to extend on the fleet, hopefully.
Just watching Pat Preck closing with American Magic, and more importantly Allegra. Not that much between them, 30-40 metres. Pat Preck certainly crossing Allegri comfortably, and then we'll just tack on them. Indeed. But it's that balance for Pat Preck, whether they try and keep the cover on Allegra to a certain extent, although they seem to be comfortably ahead just now of American Magic. Certainly the battle between second and fifth, I think we'll see continue to the finish line. Just looking on the overhead, I kind of felt that American Magic were getting a little bit of a lefty, a little bit of a lift, and just seeing that on the overhead, on the 3D perhaps. Maybe just a strand of better wind pressure. Certainly Vasco and Platoon Aviation coming out furthest to the left, trying to find something, get them a couple of place gains before the finish line. Real have got themselves a place. They just did a big duck behind Pat Preck. On board now with Platoon Aviation. Most of what they see under the boom is the almost the entire fleet, with the exception of Vayu, unfortunately for them. Really not making the strongest of starts, considering they're over 600 metres behind rivals Gladiator. Now that's interesting. That was just what I was seeing, this little bit of lefty, a little bit of extra pressure perhaps, but for sure American Magic making this nice gain. They were just catching the images now. This nice gain, a little lefty, a little bit of extra pressure, which will, I think, perhaps certainly get them into the lee bow for a Pat Preck, if anything, crossing. So it's super close between Pat Preck and American Magic there. You can see how far Gladiator are ahead. This is going to be a battle, a close battle between American Magic and Pat Preck. Sled have made a gain as well, so for sure a little bit of a lefty on that breeze. Also looking at the angle that Gladiator are sailing. Seeing some shift there, Katie, which Gladiator seem to have got on top of.
Yeah, Yeah, as you say, I think there's been a bit of a left shift here, which is causing some issues for some of the fleet, and it's helped out American Magic to get that place back from Paprec. Means that Gladiator's having to do another little hitch up to be able to make the ley line, but I think they're in a position where they're able to do that.
But the gains have also been to Sled or through Allegre. So good work, Francesco Bruni back with the Sled team as a strategist working with Murray Jones. So nice gain to them. We're coming up this upwind, got themselves back into it. They were 7th at the top mark, first time up. Allegra dropping to 5th. But meantime, Paprec still have 100 odd metres on 4th place Sled. So hopefully the French team on French, I'm not going to call it home waters, but they should be able to hold on, get themselves a podium place, which would be a nice way to start. But Katie, Gladiator leading around the top mark for the final time of race 1 of the 52 Super Series Saint-Tropez Sailing Week.
Yeah, Gladiator's on lay now to this top mark. Paprec and American Magic Quantum have got another tack to do to be able to get round that windward mark. So I'm not sure how they'll look compared to the boats that are actually already on the ley line. They might have potentially lost out a little bit, but Gladiator got a really good lead currently, gone round that windward already, heading towards the spreader, and then I think clean sailing, hopefully downwind, and yeah, not saying any more.
In the meantime, close rounding, then it's going to be between American Magic and Paprec, although American Magic will be a boat length and a half ahead, tacking into clear water. So American Magic 4th.
Yeah, so you've got Gladiator already gone round that spreader mark, and then American Magic now only just going round that windward, and Sled seems to have really gained up that upwind. It's American Magic, and then between Paprec and Sled, absolutely nothing in it. I think. Well, I wonder if they'll try and go for a split downwind to kind of maybe try and gain more places, or whether they'll be trying to just consolidate this position at this point.
Yeah, so just squeezing around that top mark now. In 5th, I think, place is Allegre. Alcedo in 6th, holding off Criolla. Platoon have got themselves up to 7th. So there we're seeing Paprec trying to protect against Sled, who are trying to roll over the top of them. Meantime, steady course for American Magic. Gladiator well out in front on this second and final run of race 1. So Paprec having to protect against Sled there, bow number 5 really is to the advantage of American Magic. The other key change that Terry Hutchison was talking about on board American Magic is Lucas Calabrese coming in as main sheet trimmer. replacing the legendary Warwick Fleury, double America's Cup winner, won the 52 Super Series as many times as Quantum Racing won it, 8 times at America's Cup programs, and certainly he's missed his Warwick. But Lucas Calabrese stepping into the role, very, very adaptable sailor who obviously sailed with American Magic as replacement helmsman and did a fantastic job. So Patrick just holding off sled. So nice job from American Magic coming down this run. It's looking like a reasonably comfortable second for them. Patrick quite engaged with sled, but in the end looking like Patrick may be able to come away with their third in the first race of the season. Terry just saying that the boats behind are starting to try and soak down. A few boats going trying to get down inside them. Close between Sled, Allegra and Alcedo. Vitamina not far behind. So Casey, are there any big gains to be had down this final stretch of this first run, do you think? Just looking how close that group is between 4 to 7.
Yeah, I think with the wind having gone left, I think it'll be hard to make those passes, but I think it's all going to be probably around boat on boat tactics coming into this finish, and whether you can kind of get the jibes in the right places and be able to attack using positioning potentially rather than the wind conditions, because I'm not sure there's a huge amount to be had from shifts. So it's, to me, I'd just be thinking, okay, positionings, when can I jibe to be able to jibe back with the power of being on starboard or things like that. So that's what I'd be thinking about if I was in that pack and trying to make some jumps on some other boats around me.
Anyway, great to see the French team doing well here in Saint-Tropez on the first race. But again, it's indicative of the progress they made last season. think finished up in fifth position, Valencia from memory. So maximum concentration on board Gladiator just now. Keiji and Ray Davis just choosing the moment to jibe for the finish. It's looking like American Magic will get second from Paprec. And about 100 metres or so back to Sled. So credit to Sled. Sixth at the top mark, first time round. And if anything, I think they were seventh through the leeward gate. That big gain on the upwind with the left-hand shift, the left shift. So this group really pretty tightly bunched in the end. Value there on the left. Bow 27, Criolla. Alcedo there. So platoon working hard though, but 8th is not a regatta winning start. You wouldn't think, but stranger things have happened. Anyway, there you go. How appropriate is that, Katie, with 1, 2, 3 red, white and blue kites in France on Labour Day. So nice start to the season. In fact, that's looking at the tracker, of course, but Gladiator have got their white kite up on the tracker. It's their trademark red kite, so scuppering my wonderful insight. But anyway, Katie, Gladiator coming through to win.
Yeah, Gladiator's just about to cross the line now, and I think they'll be pretty happy with how they raced that race. Executed their plan, and take a lot of confidence from that one, I think. And you can see Corinthian firing the cannon for them as they go through the line.
That's lovely to see, isn't it? Just gauging, giving Tony a playful punch to say, well, there you go. Nothing to worry about there. That's a big old cannon, though. It's only day one, race one. What is it about saying keeping your powder dry? Anyway, credit as well to American Magic coming through second. They were fourth at the top mark, first time up. Got the shift right on that second upwind. Got themselves over Paprec. Sled made that nice gain on the upwind too, but credit to Paprec. Sailed a really strong race, and so too did Sled. Bruni and Murray Jones, Andrea Vicentini, the whole Sled team working hard and effectively. And a little bit of a gap then back to fifth place. Which looks like it's going to be none other than Alpha Plus.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of action actually going on down here towards the finish. You've got those 4 boats that are actually, Platoon was holding the other boats out underneath them to make sure that, to mean that they would struggle to get to the finish line. So I think actually Platoon has made a bit of a gain down the very bottom of this. Kind of what I was saying earlier about the positioning thing, they've really capitalised on that, and I think they're actually going to be coming in potentially a 6th place here for them. 7th place, sorry, for them. So really nice manoeuvring for them at the bottom, and Allegra's really lost out at this with that being held out and kind of having to come into this finish line overlaid. So they'll be pretty frustrated with that one, I think.
But an interesting move from Vasco and the team on Platoon Aviation, not making too many friends with that move, but it's effective enough for them.
Absolutely not, but I think Vayu's also gained from them as well. So both Platoon and Vayu have really gained from that manoeuvre, being able to jump the other 3 teams.
But disappointing for them, for Criolla, and particularly Vitamina and Allegra round the top mark in second. But such is the nature of this fleet, it's that close and combative. So our finishing order then, winning Gladiator, 2nd American Magic, 3rd Paprec, 4th Sled, 5th Alpha Plus, 6th Vayu, 7th Platoon Aviation, 8th Criolla, and 9th Alcedo Vitamina, and 10th Allegra. But Katie, great to get a race under our belts after a long wait, and 2 false starts. But it seemed...
yeah, absolutely. It's really great that they've finally got one going. And, I mean, yeah, that was all to play for until literally the last manoeuvre into the finish line. The places you kind of think they're set, and then, nope, something happens. And then just before the finish, they all change again. So, yeah, it's incredibly tight racing, which is really exciting.
So what do we put down? What do we put Gladiator's win down to in a few words?
I think Tony would want me to say process. I think they had a plan, and I think they stuck to it. And I think fundamentally that is always a really powerful thing to do.
Indeed, they wanted to start. I think certainly the right end of the line, towards the committee boat end of the line. They were one of the first to tack off and get out to the right. So they certainly made the right choice there. But beyond that, Allegra were good early on, unfortunately just losing out in the second half of the race. Kudos and credit to American Magic, though. Pretty solid start, good speed. And then made their gain up that second upwind, recognised the left-hand shift coming in, or the little left-hand gain that got them their second, and also Paprec started well, got out to the right early, got themselves from 4th to 2nd down the run, taking the right-hand mark at the leeward gate. That helped them. But ultimately on that upwind, American Magic got through. Sled making a good gain on that second upwind too, getting up from 6th or 7th in fact up to 4th through the finish line, and Alpha Plus benefiting from the shenanigans that went on, but also sailing a pretty solid race, making gains towards the finish to get 5th. So that's our finishing order of race 1, 52 Super Series Saint-Tropez Sailing Week. Great to have a race under our belts. Looks a little bit like the breeze may have dropped very slightly, but we're going to take a little bit of a break and we'll back with you for race 2 in a few minutes' time. Join us then. This is not just another season. It's the most competitive year yet for the 52 Super Series history. 13 teams, 10 nations, the world's best sailors, and the fiercest rivalries. Every second count, every move matters, every mistake is punished. Power, precision, perfection, all pushed to the limit. This is the absolute pinnacle of Grand Prix monohull racing. The 52 Super Series is back, bigger, bolder and better than ever. April the 29th, Saint-Tropez, let the battle begin.
Don't know the time, I'm letting go. I wanna find someone to love. I feel alive, I think you know. We're getting down, we're getting low. We're getting down, we're getting low. We're getting down, we're getting low. Don't know the time, I'm letting go. I wanna find someone to love. I feel alive, I think you know. We're getting down, we're getting low. We're getting down, we're getting low. We're getting down, we're getting low. Party all night, going to the dark side. So party all night, party all night, party all night. Give me one more dose and I'll party Don't know the time, I'm letting go. I wanna find someone to love. I feel alive, I think you know. We're getting down, we're getting low. Don't know the time, I'm letting go. I wanna find someone to love. I feel alive, I think you know. We're getting down, we're getting low. We're getting down, we're getting low. Tell me something, it might just take the pain away. See, I've been thinking a million things I want to say. Now I'm looking in your eyes, but I'm wandering to your lips. See, I'm trying to keep it cool while I'm hovering for the kiss. 'Cause I've been eating you like old-fashioned on slice, sweet like daiquiri with strawberry crushed ice. Know you like a margarita with the hot spice. Love the taste of paradise. No, it's never been the right time. Like we're holding back the storyline. And I'm waiting at the end of the night, thinking of you. Took your number from a friend, but I never call. I never call. I never call. I started writing a DM, didn't sleep at all. Not awake that night. And every time I go out, I'm looking around to see you there. Where are you? And my heart skips beating when your perfume's in the air. 'Cause I've been eating you like old-fashioned on slice, sweet like daiquiri with strawberry crushed ice. Know you like a margarita with the hot spice. Love the taste of paradise. No, it's never been the right time. Like we're holding back the storyline. And I'm waiting at the end of the night, thinking of you. No, it's never been the right time. Like we're holding back the storyline. And I'm waiting at the end of the night, thinking of you. No, it's never been the right time. Like we're holding back the storyline. And I'm waiting at the end of the night, thinking of you. No, it's never been the right time. Like we're holding back the storyline. And I'm waiting at the end of the night, thinking of you.
This is not just another season. It's the most competitive year yet for the 52 Super Series history. 13 teams, 10 nations, the world's best sailors, and the fiercest rivalries. Every second count, every move matters, every mistake is punished. Power, precision, perfection, all pushed to the limit. This is the absolute pinnacle of Grand Prix monohull racing. The 52 Super Series is back, bigger, bolder and better than ever. April the 29th, Saint-Tropez, let the battle begin. So welcome back. Just time to gather our thoughts after that thrilling first race. Not the most breeze we've seen in Saint-Tropez or even last time, but quite interesting to note our statistical expert letting us know that in fact Gladiator won the first race of last season in Palma Vela, back in Palma, and Provezza were 7th, I think, in that race. First race of the season, went on to win the regatta, which was a short regatta as well, but they started poorly but still went on to win, so plenty of hope for Provezza, who were scored UFT in that race. But Katie, I'll come back to Katie in just a few seconds, but the breeze does seem to have stayed in. But we caught up with Nacho Postigo, the legendary navigator on the Provezza, and Nacho told us, gave us some great insights into his team, and in particular, he's looking pretty thin as he's lost a little bit of weight. He explains how the teams drop to ensure they're at maximum weight at the start of the season.
You're looking very thin, Nacho. What's been going on? And just explain for us a little bit about the process of dipping. Why, for some of our viewers who maybe don't understand that?
Yeah, we obviously, the more weight you put on the rail of the boat when you are sailing upwind, the more performance you get out of the boat, the faster the boat goes upwind. So obviously, if we want to be fair, you have to limit that. And the class has a maximum crew weight limit. The whole crew together, we have a maximum weight. And that spread in between the crew give us an individual target. And that normally the target means that when you come back from a pleasant winter, let's call it that way, and good Christmas with the family and all of that, suddenly you weigh yourself 1 month before the event and say, oh, I am like 5 kilos above my target.
So what was the diet?
Today I was just keeping the mouth closed and, and doing some extra exercise and slowly getting rid of it.
And where do we feel the Provezza are for this season? You launched the boat in the middle of the year. Last year, where do you feel you are in terms of learning the boat and the potential?
It's a very interesting moment, but we still feel that we have so much to learn about the boat. It's very similar to the other boat, but those little and subtle differences are keeping us busy, trying to figure out why what we were doing on the other boat was resulting in this speed and in this one is not. And sometimes we don't do the same things on the other boat and the boat goes quick. So we're trying to learn why, when, what do we need to change, how do we need to adapt. And that process is taking a lot of time. The other boat took us 3 years to learn it and to, I would say, to get the most out of it. So we've only sailed 3 events with this boat. This will be the 3rd event. So it's going to take some time, but that looks promising.
It seems to be quite a decent boat in the light breeze, you were saying?
We were surprised because it was not what the brochure said. The brochure said that it should be a better boat upwind in a little bit stronger wind, but we were surprised by how well the boat is defending in light winds, especially upwind.
Well, down to the guys rather than the boat.
Yeah, it sails as well, set up, but the boat as well is being a little bit of a surprise.
It's quite adaptable then.
It looks like it. So we need to learn and make sure that we do the same in all the wind ranges.
And obviously you were champions here in 2023. Do you feel that you can repeat, and what's changed? What was the key to your success then?
I think possibly the biggest key of our success 2 years ago was how consistent we were in the starts. And those good starts made us the option to choose. And it was very, very difficult to pick up a decent place in the final leyline approach from the right. If you overcook the leyline, a lot of boats will be ahead of you. If you tack a little bit below, a lot of boats will be on top of you, rolling you. So it was a very fine decision. So if you were doing a good start and getting into that leyline with options open, it was not easy, but it was good chances that you could run the windward mark in the top 4, top 5. And that's what wins the championship. So if we can repeat that, good starts and getting into the windward mark in the top 5 boats, that could be the recipe for repeating what we did in 23.
In effect, there are 10 boats and all of them could win the regatta.
That's amazing. You will expect that new teams that get the boats last year, like the Brazilians, the new team like Setilar, they should be... it should take them time to discover the boats. But we get out there, we go into the start, and they are just crossing tacks with us, and they are as competitive as we are. It's very difficult after the couple of days that we have sailed together to define what are the weak teams. We could not find any of those in the first days we have sailed together. So it's going to be a very interesting season, I tell you.
Meantime, of course, Nacho, 20 years this year since the TP52 fleet arrived in the Mediterranean, largely or in part due to you. You must be personally very proud of that and where we are now.
Yes, it's fantastic that 20 years later, it's a big number. It's still the class is going strong in the Med, and the boat is fantastic. The boat was fantastic 20 years ago, and it's even better now thanks to the job of the class and Rob and the evolution of the class, and it's great. And still the best windward leeward racing boat you can get. It's amazing.
And you've not changed.
A little bit older. A little bit older. Yeah, lighter. Sometimes lighter. Thank you, guys.
So it's Nacho Postigo there then, the navigator on the Provezza. So the Provezza have a little bit of a mountain to climb, having got that UFD in race 1, but as our statistical expert told us, they had a poor start to the first regatta of last season in Palma Vela and went on to win the first regatta. So fingers crossed for the Provezza, but massive credit to the Gladiator team who bounced back after that disappointment at the end of last season in Valencia, where they didn't manage to close out the circuit title, but coming away in their new lineup in the afterguard, coming away with the first race win. But Katie, talk us, we're at 1 minute and 30 before the start. How's it looking?
Yeah, it's looking good again from here actually. Around 8 to 10 knots at the moment from 195. I think it's looking good. I think we're maybe seeing a little bit more, some lighter phases coming through. I think that's what we saw in the last race with that left shift. It kind of came alongside a bit of a lighter bit of pressure. So I think maybe the teams might be on their radar, that actually if it keeps dropping, and if we keep seeing those lighter phases of breeze, then the right might not be as powerful and there might be some more opportunities on the left. But it currently kind of looks like everyone's still more towards the starboard end than the port end for sure. And you've got same as the last start, to be honest. You've got Gladiator and Paprec up at that boat end, fighting for that boat end, and you've got Criolla at the bottom. And we saw last race that was powerful for Gladiator and it was powerful for Criolla before they had their penalty turn at the top. So yeah, it's pretty similar to the last start, to be honest. I wonder if they can how they can execute this one compared to the last one.
Can Gladiator replicate the same success? They're in much the same kind of position up at the right hand end of the group. Criolla going time and distance on the left, but a really super even start. Nothing in it as the gun goes. Look at that, you won't find a more even start other than I think one boat closed out at the windward end of the line. But really very, very even. If anything, there we're seeing Alpha Plus tacking away early. Gladiator actually certainly second row off the line by the looks of things, Katie.
Yeah, I think as you're saying, it's a seriously even start. There is absolutely no one punching out. Yeah, Gladiator caught up at that starboard end, but that's kind of the risky game that they play when they want to start at the boat end and they hang back above that boat. It relies on other people opening the door for them, but I think they've got an exit strategy for that, and that is to tack out towards the right hand side, which I think you can see that they're doing now, along with Alpha Plus heading out to that right hand side.
Nice start from Alpha Plus towards the boat end of the line. Provezza, good to see them get off the line. Up Platoon Aviation get a better start. American Magic in 7th in the very, very early stages of this race. Criolla not as powerful off the left hand end of the group towards the pin, but once again they're probably not even halfway down the lines. But straight away seeing the Gladiator bow. So no reason to panic on board the Gladiator. But Katie, such an even start. I mean, after the two general recalls, the second or the third attempt was a little bit scrappy for some teams, but that time I think we had certainly 10 of 11 boats on the B of Bang.
Yeah, absolutely. There's kind of no more nerves now. They're kind of getting their time on distance bang on, getting their run-ins to the line bang on, and you can see that was a picture perfect start from where I was sat. Everyone was bang in line, and there's nothing in it. And I think at that point it's just about speed, lane holding, and trying not to lose your lane heading out on the run off the line.
So there we go, just looking at that little group of boats there. Provezza not able to live above Allegra themselves, progressively being squeezed by Doug DeVos on American Magic. Allegra just setting it up to tack now. In the meantime, I think Andrea Lacorte doing a good job of squeezing up to American Magic. Criolla now starting to make their presence felt. A similar situation as before, Katie. We've got the best boat on the left side, the best boat on the right side, first and second, at 40 metres in it.
Yeah, I think those sides are super powerful, especially because you can they've got free lanes to be able to sail the angles that they want to sail the lane they want to be in, and there's no one affecting them. So I think the sides are always super powerful because you can get to the top speeds compared to the middle of the course.
And generally, if they're working, then
You can minimise the manoeuvres at this stage in the upwind. But it was unfortunate for Criolla in that previous race. They were really strong coming into the group and the top mark, but just were a little bit too punchy, attacking inside or in the water of American Magic. And American Magic, Doug DeVos really had to pull up the bow to avoid a collision. So a lesson learned for the Brazilian team, though they are going quite well. So we're well into this first beat, race 2. But once again, Katie, Platoon Aviation struggling a little bit. I've got them 10th on the tracker. Hopefully they can find something on that right side. But Criolla going well on this side, or seem to have good pressure. But quite well separated from the fleet. But great overhead view of the entire 52 Super Series fleet on the Gulf of Saint-Tropez. Pat Prett going well once again. Loic Perron telling us earlier on that he's raced here so many times, but never this early in the season, done many what was La Nieuwe Largue and Les Voiles de Saint-Tropez and the Giraglia. Sailed them all many times, but this early in the season, this piece of water is not as well known to him. But he is loving this racing without any stretch of the imagination at all. But Alpha Plus in quite a powerful position as the most extreme or most right-hand boat just now, Katie, along with Gladiator.
Yeah, I think they're looking pretty powerful to me. I think there is going to be a bit more opportunity on this race for gains to be made. I don't think it's going to be quite as right-hand track the whole time as the first beat last race. I think as we saw in the second lap of that last race, those left shifts potentially coming in with changes in pressure, I think is something that they've got to be wary of, and so they are potentially a little bit vulnerable out on that corner to left shifts. But as is, if everything kind of stays the same, I think they're looking pretty powerful on for the tack back across the fleet.
Just watching them as they come back across, you can see them crossing the bows of Gladiator. Gladiator setting up to tack now in second place. Good work, tacking just to weather, just to windward off Alpha Plus. Probably just a little bit more wind than we expected. I'd say we've got 10 knots up where the fleet leaders are.
American Magic very much mid-fleet just now. Not too many opportunities for them, but they can be patient and wait for them to come to them. It's not really time to risk anything too much. So looking like a fairly consistent day for Mr. Akura's sled right now. Third, fourth through the finish line on the last race. Certainly very close between the boats in the middle of the Upwind. Provezza, Platoon, American Magic. On board with Platoon as they make their attack. They are made some small gains up to 7th, we think. Looking at it just now, just trying to see the angles on the overhead for the 3D. Does still seem quite even. Meantime, Gladiator have to be patient. Alpha Plus, quite a decent little lead of about 60-70 metres. How's it looking, Katie, where you are? What can you see?
Yeah, I think it's looking good. I think the question is going to be around whether the teams have got this ley line correct, or whether Sled, for example, if they need to do a little tack up inside, then I think they might lose the position to Gladiator. I think it's all going to be on how they've called this ley line, which is a tricky one to call from kind of quite far out, especially if do you want to be stuck out on that ley line early, or especially knowing that the wind could potentially shift like it did in the last race, or do you want to kind of leave a little bit more options open for yourself and tack maybe slightly below the ley line? But it's going to be, I think the thing to watch here will be the Gladiator and Sled interaction at this mark, whether Sled has got this ley line or whether they have to do a couple of tacks up and inside.
Interesting. I mean, the penny's starting to drop for me as I start to remember ley lines last time we were here in 2023. I could remember some horrendous overstanding, and it was a very difficult, in such a close fleet, as you say, you just have to have it accurate, or you can lose half the fleet on one mark grounding or one mark approach. So watching a Sled now going up on port, making their approach, trying to find a lane, trying to find a gap, whether they can get inside Gladiator. Not sure that they can. They should be able to be round in front of Paprec. But Katie, give us this mark rounding.
Yeah, so Alpha Plus just going around now with quite a nice lead actually, as you saw on the tracking. Sled didn't quite make that ley line, so they've had to tack and have just managed to squeeze in front of Paprec, which was I think good from them, because I think there was absolutely no space to duck behind that. The fleet is stacked actually, it's super close, but you've got Alpha Plus gone round, and then a little bit of a gap to Gladiator, and then behind them it's all super close fleet. You've got Sled, you've got Prix, you've got Provezza, sorry, you've got Vayu, all of them. I think there's so many opportunities around down this downwind to be making gains with the fleet this tight.
Provezza around next to Vayu.
You've got Gladiator going for the jibe set as well. So you've got Alpha Plus straight set, Gladiator jibe set, and that just shows you that there is still options and there is still gains to be made and kind of decisions to be made on this race course. It's not just a one-sided course. It's still kind of taking what you've got and running with it.
Indeed. Then Provezza around 6th, Allegra 7th, 8th is Alcedo, 9th Criolla, 10th Platoon, and 11th American Magic. So certainly the top two for the day as things stand at the moment would be Gladiator and Sled.
Seems like quite a lot of the boats are actually wanting to jibe back out to that left-hand side looking downwind. You had Gladiator jibe setting, and then Alpha Plus, who kind of straight set, they've already jibed back onto that left-hand side looking downwind. So I think they must be seeing something down there or seeing a bit of a shift in the pressure. But to me, looking downwind here, I think the left does potentially look like there is a little bit more pressure.
Certainly Gladiator seem to have got it red. Alpha Plus maybe less so, but let's wait and see.
Yeah, the jibe set is always quite a... if you're jibe setting, you probably kind of want to be pretty sure that you want to get out that way, because it's not the most efficient maneuver. You're kind of not up to full speed. You take longer to get up to full speed than if you do a regular hoist. So I think they must have been pretty confident that they wanted to get out to that side to give up that little bit of speed that you get from the normal hoist.
Certainly American Magic struggling a little bit in this race in 11th. So the fleet stretching a little bit, opening out a little bit on this run. Great overhead shot there, just showing Alpha Plus going quite nicely, but Gladiator closing a little bit of gauge. Value in 6th just now. They have the four or double optimist world champion Nopakau Punpa on the helm. And I believe she's going to be doing a fair bit of steering this season. So training up and doing a good job just now, I say, in 6th.
But for sure at the moment, yes, Alpha Plus holding off Gladiator. Nice first run then. Race 2. Reese seems to be staying fairly solidly on board with Gladiator, completing their jibe. Just watching the body language and the communications as best as we can see between Ray Davis and Gigi Parada, who have not sailed together in the 52 Super Series before. But Ray has many wins. Used to call tactics on the Mean Machine 20 years ago. The outstanding winner, well, less than 18, 19 years ago, with Peter de Ridder back in the day. So great to have him back in the fleet. Certainly chasing hard behind Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus under a little bit of pressure. Remember I was saying earlier on that Alpha Plus now have Ian Moore as navigator this season. A load of experience on board that boat. Tom Burton as a tactician, laser gold medalist from Australia. A whole bunch of Kiwis on board. I think we have 7 Kiwis on board Alpha Plus. So, Kate, did you see anything that happened with American Magic in particular that leads them to be so far down the fleet?
No, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I'm not sure if, again, like the starts in these things, in these races are so vital, and I think if you're in a compromised lane, especially when it is it does turn into a bit of a drag race out to the right-hand side, and I think if you get yourself into any kind of compromised lane, or if you're down on speed off the line, I think it's so punishing when the fleet is all such similar speeds, so close in positions. I think it can be something as small as having a bit of a impacted lane.
Anyway, here we are, the Leeward Gate, race 2, Alpha Plus holding onto their lead, going round the right-hand mark. Gladiator coming into the left-hand mark, holding their kite a little bit later.
I can remove the screen.
The next round, and actually these top 3 boats are reasonably clear. You have sled going round now. Fourth round is Vayu on the left-hand mark.
fleet opening out.
Yeah,
just a
gain
little
to value down that downwind actually. They held out a lot longer than the rest of the fleet and then jibed back a lot later, and that seems to have gained them 2 places on that downwind.
Nice work from Manu Weiler, tactician. So value up to 4th then, Paprec in 5th. Seems like Provezza have lost a couple of places. Well, Provezza in 6th. They were, actually they've lost a place, they were 5th at the top mark. Allegra 7th, Platoon 8th. American Magic then still in 11th. So great conditions, really nothing you could complain about at all. Worth waiting for this sparkling late afternoon, just coming up to 4:30 local time here on the Bay of Saint-Tropez. First regatta of the season. Pre-season nerves now settled. Sparkling conditions. Nice images there of Provezza going upwind. As Nacho was saying, just their 3rd regatta. Boat was launched for Puerto Portal's regatta last year. It was their first regatta then in Valencia. They showed good speed in Valencia. But as Nacho said in a few different interviews, it took them 3 years to get Provezza up to regatta winning level. So a little bit of patience is required. But Provezza, of course, then the newest boat in the fleet. Slightly older are Platoon Aviation and Allegra. So Allegra then unlucky in that last race in the top 3 or 4 all the way around the course, and then just lost out on the final approach. Pulled back a couple of places. Just now in 7th, I think. Well, it's actually 7th just now. But interesting then, just now, Katie Gladiator have got themselves to the left of Alpha Plus in a situation not too dissimilar to the second upwind of the last race when Quantum made their gains. Only 15 metres or so between Alpha Plus.
Absolutely.
Go on.
I was thinking the same thing actually. I think this is pretty similar to the last race, even with the leeward mark roundings. So in the last race, Paprec went round that right-hand mark downwind, and Gladiator went round the left, and it's, I think, this position that Gladiator like to be in, kind of above the fleet, and Paprec made gains by going round that right-hand mark last time. But I guess we'll have to see what the wind does, if those shifts come back in again, or if it stays steady, and if Gladiator gets a gain from kind of being above.
Just great to be on board the Gladiator, watching the level of concentration of Tony Langley. You can see the helm movements are just tiny. All about letting the boat rumble, just keep it on track. Certainly in these conditions, let the boat do the work.
Don't go up, don't go up.
Maybe just, so we're looking across just now between the Gladiator and Alpha Plus. Looking like Gladiator might get through, there's really not very much in it. Sled just behind Gladiator. Alpha Plus are on starboard. Really nothing in it at all. I think Alpha Plus just getting across in the end.
Definite gain to Gladiator on that that bit of the upwind there. I just seen them having to actually physically duck Alpha Plus, so there's definitely kind of minimised that gap between those two, and now it's just whether that ley line, whether Gladiator thinks Alpha Plus is on that ley line or whether they go past and kind of hope to roll over the top of them if Alpha Plus is on a tighter ley line or not.
Alcedo then just now in 10th place. A little bit of a baptism of fire for our new Italian owner, who always said he was coming into the 52 Super Series staying super humble with minimal expectations and hope, just looking to have a good time, make sure they get better every day. At the moment they're in 10th. And in the meantime, Alpha Plus have managed to extend once again from Gladiator. Gladiator, as Katie said, having to duck Alpha Plus. So as you might expect, then Alpha Plus pulling back ahead a little bit, now 40 metres.
I think those ducks are always super deceiving because you think they're super close, but actually in reality Gladiator was attacked behind, so they had to tack, and Alpha Plus was probably further ahead than it seems when they're ducking, but I still think for sure the gap's closed up from where they rounded the lewards.
For sure it's going to be an exciting final run, I think. Pretty close between Alpha Plus, Gladiator and Sled.
Yeah, I think Gladiator and Alpha Plus, if they're close enough to kind of have a battle, I think they're going to have to watch out for Sled behind them, because it's going to be super easy for them to be fighting it out and going the higher angles to try not to get rolled, and then that leaves an opportunity open for Sled to do a normal hoist, sail normal angles, and potentially get inside and then block their jibes.
So for sure looking interesting down this final run, as Katie said. Will the battle between Alpha Plus and Gladiator open the door to Sled? Sled, the 2021 World Champions and 52 Super Series champions. Vayu are about 120 metres behind in fourth.
When we go really fast, it's better if you stand down. But you hold
And some scrapping going on at the back of the fleet. American Magic 10th and Platoon Aviation 11th. So watching this final mark rounding off the day, we think nice ley line in the end from Tom Burton, Ian Moore and co on Alpha Plus, coming round the windward mark now. Bow number 4 Gladiator round in second.
I have a drone.
Then Sled, so it's the same order since the first mark. A gap between the Sled and Vayu. Sled will be pretty much at the offset mark as Vayu come round, but still solid result for Vayu team, getting up to fourth. Pat Breck coming round in fifth. I think Jean-Luc would be happy with, well, you would imagine he should be happy with a third and a fifth on the opening day of the season. But he is an owner with quite high expectations and hopes. You have to say, or I was saying earlier on, it's not so long that ago since Paprec were very often the bottom 3, bottom 4 of most races, and now you could consider them podium contenders this season. So it's this battle at the back between Platoon and American Magic continuing. Two minutes, and Vitamina getting their first taste of life at the back of the fleet. So all to play for coming down this final run of the day. How's it looking at the front of the fleet for our top contenders in this second race? Alpha Plus, Gladiator, Sled. How's it developing, Katie?
Yeah, I think they're all looking pretty settled. Everyone's heading out to that the shore side again of the downwind. Gladiator did another jibe set again, so they obviously really liked that play last time. But I think if I was any of these teams, I'd just be wanting to consolidate the position and kind of sell the fastest speed, the fastest angles, and kind of stick with the rest of the fleet. We've seen Vayu on this run not carrying on as far out before the jibe on this downwind. I think they're probably pretty happy with the gains that they've made, and they're just looking to consolidate this position. So I think, at the moment it's just about consolidating. It's about choosing when to jibe, especially for these boats at the front of the fleet where there's a little bit more space between them. I think the back of the fleet is where they'll be thinking about the positioning again. As we saw in the last race, there's platoon going from kind of the back to overtaking 3-4 boats in the last manoeuvre to the line. I hope they'll probably have, a lot of the teams will probably have learnt from that and be looking to avoid being stuck in that position, but I think they'll still be looking at opportunities in terms of positioning. But I think at the front it'll just be about picking the jibe back, picking a good bit of pressure to jibe back across in and consolidating their positions.
So only 15-20 metres between Alpha Plus and Gladiator. Can Alpha Plus hold on and win their first race? Or can Gladiator get through? It's really super close. Could Gladiator post 2 wins on day 1 of the 2025 season, or racing day 1 of 2025 season? It's pretty close. Alpha Plus holding on for the moment. Gladiator jibing, looking for looking for the angle and the pressure coming in. Clearly believing they're not going to outsail Alpha Plus in terms of speed. And Katie, between the two of them, we've got a couple of 100 metres back to sled. So from that perspective, Gladiator can push the risk a little bit, trying to go for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a little bit of leeway behind them to be able to up the risk a tiny bit. I think they'll always have kind of one eye on sled and what they're doing, but you can kind of see the battle developing between Alpha Plus and Gladiator. Alpha Plus jibing on Gladiator, Gladiator having to jibe out, and I think the effect, like how well they execute their manoeuvres at this point, is going to be super crucial, because if you can nail the jibe and get a couple of extra boat lengths or a couple of extra meters out of the jibe compared to the other boat, then I think that's just going to be what's going to give them the edge. But we've got again another coming together now of Gladiator and Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus again jibing on Gladiator, so there's a proper battle happening right now. But as I said, they've got to keep half an eye on sled, because the amount that you lose in doing that many jibes, and kind of the distance you lose by sailing high for too long can be critical, and they just need to keep half an eye on the rest of the fleet.
Indeed, super close between the two of them just now. We just saw Gladiator coming up to Alpha Plus, but then running out of breeze. Really nothing in it just now. Alpha Plus maintaining the momentum just by a little bit of extra boat speed. And Gishi saying, well, we tried, but at the moment you're not going to sail through them to leeward. So just, I think the call is to try and get up onto their hip. Keep pushing all the way to the finish. But credit to Alpha Plus staying cool. They've a very strong young match racing expert on the helm of Alpha Plus. It would be nice for him to be pursued by a team which includes Ray Davis, now coach to Emirates Team New Zealand. But a multiple America's Cup winner, chasing down one of New Zealand's top young talents on the helm of Alpha Plus. And a few minutes ago it was down to nothing, down to 5 or 10 metres. So a thrilling race, Katie.
Yeah, really thrilling race actually, especially these last little bits on the downwind with Gladiator and Alpha Plus, watching them having a jibing battle, and watching Vayu on that first downwind kind of going out more towards the left hand side downwind and trying to make the gains that way. There was gains to be made all around the course, and it was super exciting racing.
So great work to Alpha Plus then. Alpha Plus win the second race, hold off the world champions who get to second, go 1-2 for the day. No doubting who's winning the 52 Super Series Saint-Tropez Sailing Week after day one. Massive credit to the Gladiator team. Sled in good shape with a 4 and a 3, or sorry, 3 and a 3 in fact. Sorry, 4 and a 3. Paprec, strong day for them, going 3 and 4. So showing well at what we're going to call their home event. Very close between Provezza, isn't it, and Vayu. Vayu getting it though. Actually, it's Allegre. Oh, sorry, no, it is Provezza. And Allegre quickly through in 7th. Platoon Aviation, I think, will end up with 8th. Boats coming thick and fast through the line. The next through is Criolla in 9th. American Magic getting 10th. Just in the end, 11th goes to Alcedo Vitamina. So disappointment for the new team. First day at school and end up with an 11th. But they did have a decent first race with 6th through the finish line. So, say no prizes for guessing who's winning the 52 Super Series Saint-Tropez Sailing Week after day one. First and a second for the world champions. Tony Langley's Gladiator really sailed a super strong day. Also credit to Sled going 4-3 for the day, and Paprec 3-4. But a tough day for Platoon Aviation. American Magic going 2 and 10 for the day. That's a tough one. You want to be averaging 4 or just over 4. So everybody pretty happy on board Gladiator. Tony's off as quickly as possible, and we'll be back to the Corinthian. But Katie, your thoughts for the day? What's your conclusions?
Yeah, I think Sled and Gladiator and Paprec all sailed super consistent, solid days. I think what I kind of took from the day was that actually, if you can sail in clear breeze, if you can sail away from others and your own race, especially towards that right hand side, if you can, then I think that was pretty powerful. But there was also so much opportunity around the whole race course for gains and losses, and it was really cool how close the racing was, to be honest.
Indeed, but good to get two good races away and good breeze. You'd have to say almost worth waiting for over yesterday with nothing. And the forecast, I think, is reasonable through to the end of the week, according to Maria when we spoke to her. But clearly something going on with, in particular, I would say, Platoon Aviation not able to impose themselves today. Katie, what do you feel, or what did you see? Anything outstanding there, or is it just a case of not quite being able to get on the front rank off the start line?
Yeah, I think, there wasn't anything major that I noticed. I think potentially, just the starts today were super tricky, and it was super punishing if you weren't able to kind of be at your max speed, especially because there was a lot less opportunities with smaller shifts and things like that to tack out on. So I think if you were at all compromised on lanes or weren't able to sail at your max speed, I think that was super punishing.
But there we go, the leaderboard after day one of the 52 Super Series Sailing Week, and Gladiator then actually leading the regatta with a 1 and a 2, a 5 and a 1 for Alpha Plus, takes them onto 6 points for second. Paprec and Sled both 3 and 4 and 4 and 3, third and fourth. Vayu get fifth overall just now with a 6th and a 5th. American Magic 2 and 10 gets them to 12 points, 15 points for Platoon Aviation. Allegra 16 points, Crayola 17 points, Provezza 12 and a 7, 19 points, and Vitamina or Alcedo Vitamina are newcomers in 11th place with 20 points. But didn't see that coming for Alpha Plus, Katie, did we? With the 5 and a 1 lying second and being ahead of Paprec and Sled. So great credit to Alpha Plus, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. They sailed a really good day. I think at this point in the regatta as well, it's all about consistency, and they were super consistent all day. They kind of stuck to their plan, sailed their own race, and especially in that last race, kind of starting off the boat end and tacking out early and kind of getting to that right hand side. I think they just sailed a really consistent, a really good day.
And also nice to see the French doing well at their what we're going to call their home regatta. They know Saint-Tropez pretty well, but a pretty solid day for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Same story. I think just consistency is so important, and I think they really maximised all of the gain opportunities around the course. They maximised the leeward marks in the first race and kind of just kept chipping away, and I think that really paid off over the whole course. So yeah, good day for them as well. Really impressive.
Great stuff. Katie, great job from you on your first day of the new term. Fantastic work. We're going to close now. We know that we'll be back tomorrow with racing once again starting probably at 1 o'clock. Do watch our social media channels for any updates there, whether they decide to try and do a 3-race day. Certainly we know that Maria, our principal race officer, is intent on making sure we sail the maximum number of races before the prize giving on Sunday late afternoon here in Saint-Tropez. So thank you so much for joining us. See you again tomorrow. This is not just another season. It's the most competitive year yet for the 52 Super Series history. 13 teams, 10 nations, the world's best sailors, and the fiercest rivalries. Every second count, every move matters, every mistake is punished. Power, precision, perfection, all pushed to the limit. This is the absolute pinnacle of Grand Prix monohull racing. The 52 Super Series is back, bigger, bolder and better than ever. April the 29th, Saint-Tropez, let the battle begin.
So musical, in the club you scream. God like gaze, you're so beautiful, but you're not for me. I can't sleep lately, I'm just trying to find peace. Classic melodies, I just wanna be free. I'm sorry, darling, I can't breathe. There's no room for us, there's no room for us. I said, darling, can you see? There's no room for us. There's no room. Now I'm